Welcome back, everybody, to an all-new Fast Food Pit Stops. I'm your host, Justin. I'm actually in London. Actually, not that London. We're talking about London, Kentucky, the only place in the United States where White Castle meets Krystal. Both restaurants are in the same town, and I came here once and for all to settle the debate. Who's better, White Castle or Krystal? Now, you guys, this is super exciting because I know a lot of you love White Castle, a lot of people like Krystal, and I hear it all the time. Which one's better? They're actually only about 10 minutes apart, and you can see here what we're checking out. I'm doing the original slider, the slider with cheese, and the chicken slider on both locations. So it's gonna be a completely even matchup and almost an identical price, you guys. 3 sandwiches at Krystal's came out to $3.14 with tax. The 3 at White Castle came out to $3.28 with tax. Let's go ahead and pop into it here and check it out. For the first time ever, a world premiere, super exclusive, White Castle versus Krystal. Let's get it started. Oh, there's the Krystals, and there's the White Castle. You guys have never seen a Krystals and a White Castle box stacked on top of each other. I know I haven't. And they're all still super hot, super fresh. Let's go ahead and start out with the chicken versions of the sliders. This was $1.49. Take a look. That's the Krystal. Little sandwich, maybe a couple of bites. Here's the White Castle. Again, the same price on this, $1.49. Something noticeably different right away is that the White Castle comes with cheese. The Krystal does not. Size-wise, what do you guys think? White Castle, Krystal. Looks like the Krystal bun is maybe a little bit bigger. Looks like the bread is also a little bit of a different color. The White Castle almost has like a bleached white color bread. The Krystal's a little more of a, I don't know, like an average wheat almost looking. And they're both white bread, but you can see the color differences between the two. I'm gonna peel back the tops here. Let's take a look. Here's the White Castle. And of course, it has the cheese on it. And that's it. It's just cheese. It's just cheese and chicken. So I can't peel the top back without tearing it apart. There's that White Castle chicken fillet. The Krystal comes with mayo and pickles. Again, no cheese. And they're both exactly the same price. What do you guys think? There's the White Castle. There's the Krystal. The Krystal is super seasoned up. You guys see that? It's nice and crispy. And then the White Castle is more of a, almost like a golden yellowish color. From the side, they look about right. First bite, big bite. Let's do the Krystal first. Here we go. It's a nice little piece of all white breast meat in there, super seasoned up. They weren't shy on the mayo. You got that nice little pickle sticking out there. The seasonings are good. It tastes like a nice little chicken sandwich. It's nice and warm. I'm gonna do a bite here on the White Castle now. Here we go, first bite, big bite. I honestly like the Krystal chicken better in this case. It actually tastes like it's a real piece of breast meat right off the bone. Now, I know that the White Castle is also supposed to be all white meat, all breast meat. This patty feels a little more of like a formed chicken patty when you take a bite into it, but it's still really good. Whereas this one right here on the Krystal, man, this thing looks like it just came right off the piece of fried chicken. You can see the little layers in there, the chicken, how it just kind of flakes off. The White Castle, it just kind of pulls apart. And now I got a bite of that pickle. If you like that concept and that taste of pickles and chicken, then you're gonna love that bite. No pickle on this, no mayo, it's just cheese and chicken. I'd have to say I'd go with the Krystal on this. The chicken is a lot better. I prefer the mayonnaise and the pickle to just a piece of cheese. The price on these, of course, is exactly the same. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, For the Krystal chicken slider, this thing's getting like an 8.5. It's a good little chicken sandwich. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I almost just wish it was bigger. On a scale of 1 to 10 for the little chicken slider with cheese from White Castle, I'm gonna have to give this one a 5. It really is just a real average flavor to it. Nothing super special, and I wish that it had more of that taste like the mayo versus just a cheese taste. This tastes like something that a little kid would enjoy. It's great for the kids, but for an adult flavor, and if you want some of those spices in there, you get a little more of that kick to it. Oh, that's the winner right there. Now this is where the controversy starts. Nobody really cares about the chicken. It's all about the beef. It's all about the hamburger sliders, and that's what these are. Little steamers, little sliders, little gut bombs, whatever you want to call them. The White Castle slider, the original slider, no cheese. And here is the one from Krystal. Pull this out. Oh man. Again, the Krystal bun right here is slightly larger than the White Castle. From the top and the bottom, Krystal burger, the original slider, you've got mustard, onions, and pickle, and then you've got your little tiny, super thin, almost wafer thin little beef patty here, and then they steam it up right on the grill with the onions and the bread on top. Now on the White Castle, on the original steamer, what you get on this one, there's no mustard. It's just onion and pickle, and then of course, again, the little beef patty. Little noticeable difference there. On the White Castle, it looks like it has 5 little holes. They do the same type of steaming that Krystal does. Same concept. You see no holes on the Krystal. Enough talking, let's go in on it. This is the big controversy, the big one. We're down to the sliders, the original White Castle and the original Krystal. I'm gonna go in on it a first bite, big bite. Let's do the White Castle first on this one. So let me switch hands. Here we go. Here's the White Castle. Real quick, the White Castle was 72 cents. Krystal was 59 cents. So 72, 59. White Castle first. Cheers. The bun is really nice and soft. That little tiny thin patty of beef. It's almost hilarious. Little hamburger sliders, and you can see how the steam kind of gets all in that bread, and it kind of just melts the onions in there. You get a little bit of a hint of that pickle, a little bit of the briny, vinegary taste to it. All right, I got my taste on that one. Not much left of it though. You guys see how small these are? Easy to demolish them in one bite. Let's go ahead and try the Krystal one now. Big bite. You can instantly tell that you're eating a completely different burger. The beef on the Krystal almost has much more of a genuine beef taste to it. On the White Castle, I can't even taste the meat. I know it's there, but I can't taste it. The Krystal meat patty has that classic kind of burger taste where the White Castle's is lacking. And of course, the Krystal has the mustard on it. The Krystal bread is also a little bit more robust. It's a little thicker. Krystal is traditionally a Southern franchise, and White Castle stretches everywhere from New England to the Midwest, all the way out to the West Coast. So the two really don't intersect anywhere else except for right here in London, Kentucky. They're about 5-10 minutes apart from each other. Anywhere near the area, and you want to check out Krystal versus White Castle, you know where to come. You don't even need a passport. I think on a scale of 1 to 10 on the White Castle original steamer slider, to be honest, I'm gonna have to give this again a 5. It was really just kind of average, totally underwhelming. On this Krystal though, not only is it a better burger, it's also a better value. It was cheaper than the White Castle. It certainly was tastier, and it has a bigger kind of mouth feel to it. You taste the beef, you taste the mustard, and also the pickles, you know? And that's really important. I think the White Castle would just be so much better with just a little dollop of mustard on there. It would make the difference. But I guess they can't be exactly alike. On a scale of 1 to 10 for the Krystal original slider with no cheese, This one's getting an 8. It's pretty good stuff. The third and final battle of the White Castle versus Krystal. We're gonna do the Krystal with cheese versus the cheese White Castle slider. A regular cheese slider, 89 cents. The Krystal with cheese was 79 cents. So again, Krystal slightly lower on the price, but I think White Castle knew they were on struggle street with this, and they knew that this review wasn't gonna go too well. They threw on an extra meat patty to try to bribe your boy, but you can't do that. You can't buy me out. I don't care even if you fly me to your cinema down in Chattanooga, I'm not for sale. Now this of course is gonna have the cheese, that's the difference here. But of course they still retain the pickle and the mustard and the onions on the Krystal, and the White Castle is just gonna have onions and pickle and cheese and a double beef patty. Oh no, that isn't a double beef patty. I actually thought that was 2 layers of beef there, but it looks like it colors the bread, just makes it look like it's beef down in there. You guys see that? All those juices drip down in that bread. That's because, again, they steam the meat with the bun on the grill, captures all those juices, all that fat that would normally drip down, and it gets it right into the bun, so it makes it taste super great. First bite, big bite. Krystal versus White Castle. Let's do Krystal first. Big bite. Got a little slice of American cheese on there. It's pretty good hanging out. Again, that classic beef flavor. I can taste the onions, the pickle, the mustard, and in this case, the cheese. It does make a difference. Let's try the White Castle. Big bite. God, they got some onions on that one, don't they? Whew. That cheese really helps this one out. It needed something. Just having a pickle and some onions on there, it just wasn't enough. That's why the original Krystal actually tasted a lot better, was just because that mustard kind of added a little bit of substance to it, a little bit of flair, a little bit of flavor. But adding the cheese on here on the White Castle, to be honest, I have to admit, I'm remiss. It really does amplify the flavor of this. Out of the 2 on this one, the cheese does make the difference. It actually bumps this White Castle one right up over the Krystal, and it makes me almost second guess everything I've been saying, because it does taste better. What do you guys think? White Castle, Krystal. Epic battle. I'd have to go with the White Castle on this, but it's not a landslide. Barely is a scotch over the rating. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give the Krystal with cheese. This thing's getting an 8.5. The White Castle cheese slider here, adding that cheese on there really made a difference, and it really helped bump up that flavor. Maybe it was that fat content that was kind of missing, but the flavor exuded on this. This thing's getting a 9. This would be the way to go if I was coming to White Castle. I wouldn't be satisfied unless I only got the cheese. The original wasn't super great, but the cheese one was the rock star here. Tell me down in the comments below, who do you guys like, Krystal or White Castle? Maybe you've never even had a choice before because you've only been able to pick one. I really enjoyed coming out here to London, Kentucky to do the first ever White Castle versus Krystal battle. All these little single bite sandwiches. What should I do with this, you guys? We got the 2 chicken sandwiches, the 2 original sliders, and the sliders with cheese. 6 total. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm gonna go on here on a last bite, big bite. But as always, thanks again everybody for checking out another great review here on Fast Food Pit Stops. I'm your host, Justin. You know you love it. You came back for some more of it. I'll be back for another fast food review. I love this, you guys. It's the best job in the world. Bye, everybody. Which one is which? Still the same hands. They're both about the soft. They're both about as soft as. They're both really soft.